Welcome everybody. My name is Michael, and today this is a story that I've been waiting for. A story of corruption. Something that is indirectly related to cryptocurrency. Everyone in the crypto world is familiar with the Fed head. Yeah, Jerome Powell. That's right. This millionaire politician is somebody who says cryptocurrency is a host of bad things, blah, 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 and then bam, looks like he's in trouble. Over the past few days, there have been, some evidence that has been revealed that Mr. Jerome Powell, and not only him, but other people that he's associated with, that's right, the Fed, okay, yeah, a lot of the Fed employees, higher-ups, people who are basically doing insider trading. They have been doing some shady stuff with securities. That's not too good. So during COVID, they have made a lot of money outside of their normal jobs, which are already very well paid. There has been a host of politicians recently over the past year due to COVID that have been using some hidden secrets, I guess, to magically make a whole bunch of money in the stock market. Exchanges hate these people because they're picking very good. Every trader wants to trade like these guys. I mean, there's no misses. They're just making a lot of millions. How do you do that? Oh, I know. It's because you get information from your job that lets you know that, hey, most likely this security is going to go up in value because of this and this event that's coming up pretty soon. And, oh yeah, I'm in charge of a pretty powerful position, so ultimately I'm able to do something, whether directly or indirectly get somebody else that I'm able to control to get something to be done so that this security goes up in value. So Jerome Powell and other very highly placed politicians that are in control of our America's finances, essentially, well, the central bank was purchasing the same assets that all of these guys own. And because the central bank was purchasing them, the value was going up. So now the Fed has ordered a review of what to do with employees who are, well, do you ban them from purchasing assets? I mean, I think that's a pretty obvious choice. That's an obvious answer. The Federal Reserve Chairman, that's right, the head honcho, Jerome Powell, has ordered a review of their policies regarding the central bank. This comes after a public outcry for officials, elected officials, holding individual securities. Now, what's interesting is Jerome Powell has ordered this review, but turns out Jerome Powell himself owned municipal bonds of the same type that the Fed was purchasing during COVID 2020. Two regional Fed presidents also owned the same type that the Fed was purchasing during COVID. Now, we don't know the exact amount that they were holding, but there is an estimate between X amount and X amount. And you'd think, oh, maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 100,000. No, we're talking about millions of dollars for Jerome Powell and hundreds of thousands of dollars, getting close to $1 million for the other guys. That's a lot of money we're talking about. And this is stuff that was revealed. We don't even know the full story. Maybe there's other assets that are being hidden. This is coming from somebody who has criticized Bitcoin and crypto, and the government and bank officials have always criticized crypto, but crypto is very transparent. You see, if you try and hold something against cryptocurrency, if you try and hide it, the data is always there. Now, this is an outcry because it's against the rules. We wouldn't care if this is perfectly allowed, but there's a little bit of an issue. If the public trusts you and there's a code of conduct that essentially bans you from doing what you have done. That's right, Mr. Powell. I'm sorry, I wouldn't really care, but if you're going to be so uptight about crypto holders, maybe you should look at yourself and your own policies. Make sure everything's fine. Look, if some politician wants to make money, I don't care. I mean, this is America. This is capitalism. Make as much money as you want. But there's rules for politicians that should be upheld, so other politicians also take notice, so the public takes notice, so we can respect and everything's going to be fine. And, nothing against Jerome Powell, but, something needs to be changed right now. Either the policies need to be changed or there needs to be some consequences if someone breaks the policies, because if there's no consequences, then this is the same argument that I can't really discuss this about, So how to say it briefly, how a lot of politicians recently have been making rules regarding what has been happening over the past year or two, and there's been news articles about them coming out and specifically breaking their own rules that they have set. They're being hypocrites. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm pretty sure you know a case in your own country, whether it's in America, your own state, your own governors, your own mayors. There have been plenty of. If you're going to be a rule breaker and you're a lawmaker or a politician, I don't know. Something's a little suspicious about that, don't you think? Now, Jerome Powell isn't all bad. I mean, he's not a strict opponent to cryptocurrency. He did say that crypto needs to be regulated more, which in some regards, I can agree to this as a crypto enthusiast. Yes, there's certain aspects of cryptocurrency that should be regulated, such as the scams and hacks and certain Wild West days. They're basically over. But he did meet recently this year with the Coinbase CEO, so it's not like he doesn't have a clue about crypto. And he's also interested in creating a digital US dollar. But he did say Bitcoin would become obsolete and stable coins aren't needed if the US digital dollar basically comes in, the CBDC or something like that. And I would disagree with him, because the whole reason we're in this debacle in the first place is because the US dollar, inflation, and a US digital dollar, I don't know. So let's read the central bank's code of conduct. It says that officials should be careful to avoid any dealings or other conduct that might convey even an appearance of conflict between their personal interests, the interests of the system, and the public interest. So now the official figures. Powell held between $1.25 million and $2.5 million of municipal bonds. They were just a small portion of his total reported assets. While the bonds were purchased before 2019, they were held while the Fed last year bought more than $5 billion in munis, including one from the state of Illinois, purchased by his family trust in 2016. Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren held between $151,000 and $800,000 worth of real estate investment trusts, REITs, that own mortgage-backed securities. He made as many as 37 separate trades in the 4 REITs, while the Fed purchased almost $700 billion in mortgage-based backed securities. Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin held $1.35 million to $3 million in individual corporate bonds purchased before 2020. That's a pretty big gap. I don't know. Are we aiming for the lower number or for the higher number? Maybe it's the higher number. Who knows? We'll see. So up to $3 million. And they were purchased before 2020. They include bonds of Pepsi, Home Depot, and Eli Lilly. The Fed last year opened a corporate bond buying facility and purchased 46 of corporate bonds. Among the questions, should the Fed have banned officials from holding, buying, and selling the same assets the very same Fed itself was buying last year when it dramatically widened the type of assets it would purchase in response to the pandemic? So they did not purchase this before. The Fed's own code of conduct says officials should be careful to avoid any dealings or other conduct that might convey even an appearance of conflict. Even an appearance. That is, it's right there. Guys, it's right there. A Fed spokesperson said that Jerome Powell ordered a review last week of the Fed's ethics rules surrounding permissible financial holdings and activities by senior federal officials. Now, a Fed spokesperson also said that Powell had no say over the central bank's individual municipal bond purchases, but that the bonds were held in a joint account over which he did not have control. Maybe not. We'll see. He decided not to trade muni bonds in 2019. Now, Mr. Barkin declined to comment, but he did not appear to have any say over the individual corporate bonds purchased by the Fed. And Mr. Rosengren has announced that he would sell his individual positions and stop trading while he is president. Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan, he actively traded millions of dollars of individual stocks, said he would also no longer trade and would sell his individual positions. But he said that his trades did not violate the ethics of the Fed. Mr. Rosengren had a spokesperson that said he made sure his personal saving and investment transactions complied with what was permissible under Fed ethics rules. But Mr. Dennis Kettler, he's the CEO of the nonprofit Better Markets, said if some of those Fed actions are not against the rules need to change. To think that such trading is acceptable because it's supposedly allowed by Fed's current policies only highlights that the Fed's policies are woefully deficient. While trading by Rosengren and Kaplan was not conducted during the so-called blackout period, when Fed officials are not allowed to talk publicly about monetary policy or trade, Keller said that during a crisis like last year, the whole year should be considered a blackout period because Fed officials are constantly talking and crafting policy in response to fast-moving events. So, handing it off to you guys. What do you think? Do you think they're in the wrong, or do you think they're perfectly okay with what they have done? My personal opinion, it may not be the biggest deal in the world, but do you think that if you or I broke some rules regarding trading and even cryptocurrency trading, do you think they'd be so lenient? They'd be like, oh, you know what? Technically, it's not like written so far. No, they don't care. They don't care. The best example is taxes. Taxes regarding cryptocurrency and stringent policies that were put in place over the past few years. Now, a lot of these policies are affecting people from many years ago, from maybe not the very beginning of cryptocurrency, but the very beginning for a lot of people's cryptocurrency endeavors. Because starting 2016, there was a lot of new policies in place that people may have not been prepared for, and definitely 2017 and 18, when a lot of people really got introduced to it, and that's when I started Kubera. It's pretty crazy to think that the government would be, oh, don't worry about that. It's all good. Relax, our officials, they're fine. No, they would throw the book at us. They'd slam the hammer down. They'd be like, listen, you are paying huge fees. You are going to jail. We're going to seize your cryptocurrency assets. We're going to make sure your financial history is destroyed. And this has happened many times where an average Joe, even with something outside of cryptocurrency, like healthcare or medical debt, or, oh no, they crashed their car and maybe it wasn't fully insured. Something happened where there was also the exact same case with a politician, but politicians were able to get away with it, while the average Joe was slapped with so many fines that he had that his only option was to go bankrupt. So it's a pretty depressing scenario. But rules could change, just as they are changing for cryptocurrency. Rules could change. Maybe they're not going to completely sculpt the environment in a new fashion for public officials, but they could help regulate the rule makers themselves. So, give a little bit of power back to the people or something like that. Anyways, so thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I really appreciate it. We're so close to 1,400, so if you could hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you to all of those who have been watching my videos from the very start of this year. That's right, we are pretty soon approaching the first anniversary of this channel. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully we can get to 2,000 before then, and happy Halloween. It's upcoming pretty shortly. Yeah, September's almost over right here. We're getting into the 20s pretty soon. Amazing weather here in Chicago. In and out, Michael. Thanks so much. See you guys tomorrow. Stay safe and don't be a hypocrite. Yeah, that's all right. You're able to make as much money as you want as long as you're not making rules for others to follow and making them as strict as possible and making fun of crypto holders and whatnot, and then, oops, you're breaking your own rules. I'm just saying, come on. Something to think about. All right, guys, see ya. Bye.